Who do you want to be in the organization? If you're an employee working somewhere, anybody can recruit an unhappy person. I always say, go after the happy ones. They go, I'm happy here. I go, that's exactly why I'm talking to you. Because a lot of leaders don't set the expectation from the beginning of what it means to work there.
I like to hire people with batteries included. Who wants to buy a toy and go to the shops to get the batteries, right? Looking at it from the other perspective of something being taken away from you. Because I think this is, as we said, it's give and take, right?
Right.
Leader, employee, team members, you want to be all in it together, right? What advice would you give for people that they're really quite happy at home and doing well? And there's a lot of dialogue around, it's the classic, I'm doing really well at home, I can't understand why they want me back. This is
Right.
the kind of classic conversation that's going round and round. What perspective should they have on this?
Well, I would say let's take who do you want to be in the organization? If you're an employee working somewhere, do you want to grow? Do you want to be promoted? Do you want to be seen as a potential leader and as somebody that they want to bring on more leadership roles? If that's the case, then you need to take on a leadership ownership sort of mentality. And a leadership ownership mentality does not think what's comfortable first. They go, what does the business need first? And so if you don't want that, then I get it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you want to be that, then you have to make that mental shift to say, it's not about whether I want to be at home or not. What does the business need? And if I'm your leader and I'm like watching this person saying, they go, I'm comfortable at home, but what does the business need? Let's do that. That's the kind of person I want in the trenches. That's the kind of person I want to promote, as long as they have the skills, correct? But if I'm looking at growing this business and I got somebody that's just complaining because they want to be at work or they want to be at home and they're comfortable there, unfortunately, they're probably not going to be part of the conversation around promotion. And that's one of the hard truths of life. And so, but let's say that you're comfortable, which is totally fine. We all want different things, by the way. So this isn't a judgment about it's better, good. It's like, you want something off the shelf, you pay a price for it. Some people want bigger things and there's a bigger price for bigger leadership. That's it. Yeah. But some people saying, you know what, my family's more important, which by the way, kudos to you. You have found something that works. So if that's the case, then you still have a leadership challenge. You have a leadership challenge saying, how are you going to build a case that you are more productive and more valuable at home? So that person needs to be able to build the case. So you still need to be able to say, how do you answer the business need? Because unfortunately, whether we like it or not, that we are serving a business and that business serves us by paying us a salary to do a certain thing. And those are certain realities that we can't get away from. And let's say that you don't like the business, you don't like the leader. Well, then you have another totally different choice to make, which is what change are you going to make? And where else are you going to work? And, if I'm a recruiter listening to this, I'm looking for those people, where the leaders didn't show up, because a recruiter can come in and paint a new picture of a new possibility.
Oh yeah. I spent my whole career poaching people from companies, and happy people are way harder to move. Fact.
And which is why they call you a hunter. You got to hunt for those.
That's it.
Yeah. Anybody can recruit an unhappy person. But I always say, go after the happy ones. They go, I'm happy here. I go, that's exactly why I'm talking to you. I want you to bring your happy here. But let me explain to you why I think we're worth it. And so, but if you're only going after the ones that are wounded, they're going to bring those wounds also. And so it's a different mindset.
Absolutely. And for leaders, just generally, the way you make people happy, it's relationships, it's leaning in with empathy, it's building that trust. They're the things, money's, it's there, but never the top few things. So, no, I love that. There's a just kind of forwarding on from that. There's an interesting, I'm going to go back to TikTok because there's some interesting videos on TikTok. And I know you yourself have a nice TikTok account. There was a young guy, and he was asked to attend an 8 a.m. meeting with his leader. I don't know if you saw this. So they said, "Hey, can you come attend the 8 a.m. meeting?" The guy turns around and says, "I'm not coming to the 8 a.m. meeting. I have a gym session. I don't want to miss my gym session." Right?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're going to pay me? You pay me 9 to 5. You're going to pay me for the extra hour? So you can imagine there's, people are weighing in on both sides, and the argument for the employee was, this is disgraceful, and these companies shouldn't be asking the guy for an early meeting, and the other side is kind of similar to the point you raised earlier. You've got to be there for people. You've been included in the 8 a.m. meeting. This guy is perhaps excluding himself. But I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I think for me, just maybe overarching this is, to your point, it's the relationship, right? If you have a good relationship with your leader, with your team member, you don't have this kind of scenario.
You just don't. You don't. But this is the classic generational clash in this. This is a very classic generational issues, and there's a case for both, right? There's a case for both. What now? Personally, there's an understanding that applies to both as well. Is that the business exists and needs to exist so that I can get paid. And that's something that a lot of people forget. And if you've never been an entrepreneur, you don't realize if there's no revenue, if people aren't there to run the business suffers. Therefore, it has to make changes, unfortunately, and lower costs. That is just the reality of how business is run. I didn't make those rules. But if you choose to play in the business world, there are certain rules that have to be, the business has to be profitable. And guess what? So do our families. We need to be profitable. And if we're not going to be happy when we get older. We won't be able to do the things we want with our kids. And so profitability can't be a demon either. Being profitable at the expense of people, yes, very bad. But running a solid, fiscally sound business is important. So there's lots of factors to consider here. One is there trust? Like you nailed it. If there's trust and there's a relationship, these conversations don't happen. And the other piece too is a lot of leaders don't set the expectation from the beginning of what it means to work there. And a lot of leaders will try their best to make it comfortable the first 90 days, and instead of making it clear the first 90 days. And I did this with a leader, and he was having an issue with one of his leadership members. He would always show up 15, 20 minutes late, optional meetings. And the CEO was just furious. And I just said, have you set this expectation? He knows it's important to me. I go, well, tell me about day one. And then the leader stops. He goes, he showed up 15 minutes late. I go, first meeting, huh? And I go, so why didn't you say anything then? He goes, I guess I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable. And he goes, oh my God. I go, so now you set this, the standard day one. He went day one and nudged that standard. Realized that standard was nudgeable. You didn't say anything. So over time, they built this from what your expectation and need was. They nudged it all the way over here. Now they have this 30-minute window. And then now 6 months or a year later, you got to come back and push it, and they fight you because the entitlement has been created.
Yeah.
You set expectations 2 weeks prior to day one. They're enforced day one. And they're enforced heavily, as long as you're clear on values and everything. And it doesn't be yelling and screaming, but stopping the meeting, pulling the leader aside privately and saying, look, it's day one. You've shown up late. Is this going to be a pattern? Because if it is, we're going to solve this right now. We won't work together. And that's a day one conversation. And even prior to day one, I would be saying, hey, by the way, let's say, Lewis, we're going to meet in 2 weeks. See back here, our values. One of those is commitment to excellence. And one of those commitments to excellence is being on time, being really clear on time. And so I just want to tell you ahead of time, if you're late, that's not how we function here. And if you're late day one, I'm going to tell you what our conversation is going to sound like. It's not going to be a nice one. I'll probably say, hey, Lewis, it's day one. You showed up late. You're already behind the 8 ball. Did I make a mistake in hiring you? Because clearly you're not listening to what our standards are. That's day one. So now, Lewis, I don't want to have that conversation. Just make sure 15 minutes early. Be on time here. You're a leader. I expect you to be on time. People are going to be looking at you. It's one of the reasons why I really liked you. There's setting clear vision, expectation, boundaries, while empowering at the same time. And if they don't show up, you don't fire them. They fired themselves.
Yeah.
It's like playing football or a sport. Say, here's out of bounds. And they run out of bounds. I told you ahead of time that was out of bounds. Now you're disqualified. I didn't do that. You did it to yourself.
If I just go even further back in the recruiting process, it's so important to communicate effectively. Just off the bat. Because so many people you speak with, I'm like, hey, how's it going? And like, wow, it's not really what I expected, or it wasn't what they described, or, fill in the blank, so to speak. Yes. And a big hack is just communicating, even if it's, if you go like Elon Musk style, come work here as 24/7, 7 days a week. Are you up for it? Yeah. Or an investment bank. You're in for long hours. A lawyer, there's certain things where you just know off the bat, you get paid well and you're in.
100%.
And so for recruiting off the bat, and then you hire them. Hopefully you can avoid those day one difficult conversations, because really you want to be you don't want to be having that chat on day one.
Well, I
I've got
think,
this little corny sorry, just to finish up, I think I've got this little corny phrase. It's like, I like to hire people with batteries included. So that means different things to different people, right? But for me, it's like, who wants to buy a toy and go to the shops to get the batteries, right? I mean, nightmare. So for me, I want an A+ human. I really value attitude over anything. Like will, that classic Simon Sinek will skill thing. You want someone that's high will. As a leader, you don't want to have to really, I don't think, motivate someone, right? You want to hire someone that is motivated and inspire them.
Yes.
So there's certain things that I look for. That's one of them. And it's just
love
by
that.
thinking through.
Batteries included. That's so well said. Because okay, I'll give you two perspectives. If I'm a leader, I need to realize that my recruiters are the ones setting the expectation to the work, and they need to be crystal clear on my expectations, and in terms of what to show up, because those promises made are so critical. And sometimes you get recruiters that are so ambitious on getting the commission that they forget about the employment and things. And then if I'm a recruiter, you want to stand out as a recruiter. You say, hey, before I recruit, I want to know your non-negotiables and what it is, because I want to be able to set your vision and plan and be able to communicate that when I'm out there. I want to be able to inspire them from day one. So when they showed up, I love it. Batteries are included. Oh, that's if you're not writing that one down, like that is such a critical piece in the context to say, I want to make sure the batteries are included when I bring somebody there. So you don't have to do any extra work. It's like, that's just huge. I couldn't agree with you more.